criminals together, and what do you get? Concentrated criminality. Crime in the midst of punishment.
I agree, sir.
An alien government, desperate for the law and order vote, are endorsing a radical aversion therapy. Ludovico's technique will turn the likes of Alex from free-thinking little bastard to programmed goody-goody, an automaton who is incapable of evil.
Best dealt with on a purely curative basis. Kill the criminal reflex, that's all. Full implementation in a year's time. Punishment means nothing to them, you can see that. They enjoy their so-called punishment.
You're absolutely right, sir.
Shut up, bleeding hole!
Who said that?
I did, sir.
What crime did you commit?
The accidental killing of a person, sir.
He brutally murdered a woman, sir, in furtherance of theft. 14 years, sir!
Excellent. He's enterprising, aggressive, outgoing, young, bold, vicious. He'll do.
I think it's essential to remind people the distance that we've traveled since 1972, because the film is a horror comic allegory about the enormous potential for social control. And if anything has happened in the 21 years since that film came out, it's been the increasingly authoritarian view of life in this country that a government, by nature a conservative government for the last umpteen years, has taken, and the ways in which the individual is controlled.
It was the next day, brothers, and I had truly done my best morning and afternoon to play it their way and sit like a horror show cooperative malchick in the chair of torture while they flashed nasty bits of ultra-violence on the screen. Though not on the soundtrack, my brothers, the only sound being music. Then I noticed in all my pain and sickness what music it was that like cracked and boomed. It was Ludwig van. Ninth Symphony, fourth movement.
You know, I don't actually think that Alex is necessarily a bad boy. He is a creative boy. And the crux of the film is, if you cure the creative at the same time to knock out the neurosis or to knock out the violence, will you also knock out the genius? So it's a kind of dilemma.
Any questions?
Choice. The boy has no real choice, has he?
Brainwashed so that he can't even contemplate a dirty deed, Alex is put on public display, docile evidence of the government's tough stand on crime.
He ceases to be a wrongdoer. He ceases also to be a creature capable of moral choice.
Padre, these are subtleties. We're not concerned with motives, with a higher ethics. We are concerned only with cutting down crime.
I think the message is relevant today and should be seen by people. It's a terrific way of getting across that crisis that so often we read about in the papers, politicians trying to find some new way of getting an advantage or edge, and sometimes individuals' rights and responsibilities being trampled underfoot in part of that. Whether that particular issue, the behavioural sciences response to criminality, is still topical today, I very much doubt, but it's a metaphor, and it works.
What's really frightening and really dangerous is the suggestion that I think someone would make now, if they were to make the film, that it's not social conditioning, it's not the environment, you cannot control it, it's there, unequivocal, unstoppable, biological, absolute.
The film A Clockwork Orange ends with Alex triumphant, back to his old ways, brainwashed again by a government facing a storm of bad publicity for its repressive measures. Alex has escaped the clutches of imposed goodness, and he rejoices. Rejoices.
cured all right.
I'm singing in the rain.
But Kubrick's film didn't tell the whole story, because it seems he didn't know the whole story. The director did not shoot all of the book because, according to Anthony Burgess, he had not read all of the book. There have always been two different versions of the novel A Clockwork Orange. In the British edition, there were 21 chapters, but only 20 chapters appeared in the American edition. In the chapter that Kubrick forgot, Alex starts to yearn for love and peace, a wife and child.
Perhaps I was getting too old for the sort of Jeesney I'd been leading, brother. At 18, old Wolfgang Amadeus had written concertos and symphonies and all that cow. No, not cow, heavenly music. And now I felt this bolshy big hollow inside my plot. I knew what was happening, oh my brothers. I was like growing up. Youth must go, ah yes. But youth is only being like, it might be an animal. No, it's not just like being an animal so much as being like one of those Malenki toys. You wind it up and it bangs straight into things, bang, bang, and it cannot help what it is doing. When I had my son, I would explain all that to him. But then I knew he would not understand, or would not want to understand, and would do all the veshes I had done. Yes, perhaps even killing some poor starry Farella, and I would not be able to really stop him. And nor would he be able to stop his own son, brothers. And so it would itty on to like the end of the world, round and round and round.
It would have given a personal resolution to an odyssey about an individual's life, but I don't think the film is really about that. It's about the manipulation that politicians bring whenever there's an issue that they feel that they can use to get elected. In that sense, I think he was right. In the film, it would have struck a jarring note. It would have found a resolution as far as Alex was concerned, but then we're not really with Alex in the last scene in the film. We're with the politicians, and we're with the press, and we're with the media. It wouldn't have worked.
By losing that last chapter and failing to show Alex outgrowing his wicked ways, A Clockwork Orange became the most vivid picture ever of teenagers acting out their basest desires, totally without conscience. And that is why teenagers loved it. A Clockwork Orange will almost certainly remain unavailable in the country that inspired it. Yet it's freely available, just a ferry ride away. And while it's madness that a brilliant film by a serious director should be banned, while the video emporiums are groaning under the weight of cynical trash, it's always worth remembering. The film is banned in Britain not by the law, and not by the censor, and not by the prissy guardians of morality. A Clockwork Orange is banned in Britain by the American who made it.
I think it's a great film. I think it's one of the most important films ever made in this country. I think it confirmed Kubrick as the most important film director of the post-war years. And my regret is that, for reasons that are personal to himself, he hasn't found it possible to let the film be seen where it should be seen, which is on the widescreen, the large screen of the cinema in this country. I've told him on several occasions when we meet, I said, Stanley, this is a mistake, because the film is a document that belongs to the public view.
The film sets out to celebrate violence, and it doesn't pull its punches, it celebrates violence. It says, you can treat violence like a work of art, you can treat violence like a work of music, you can delight in violence in the same way. That's an amoral position. That's quite a strong starting position from which to make a film. And to withdraw from that, I think, is cowardice. To withdraw from that is to show that he doesn't have the strength of his convictions. That actually, having created this thing, he then got frightened by what he created.
But if Stanley Kubrick will not let the British see A Clockwork Orange, then he should at least have the moral courage to explain this decision. As Alex would have it, it's time to show us your yarbles, Mr. Kubrick. Brother, if you have any yarbles. A Clockwork Orange is too good to be buried alive. It's a comic masterpiece, brilliant social prophecy, and a dazzling exposition of the adolescent mentality. And, as a lost generation of teenagers will testify, it's also about how good it sometimes feels to be bad.